All right, so you know how sometimes you wish you had like a personal blueprint, like a roadmap to totally transform your life?
Yeah.
Well, that's exactly what we're diving into today. And get this, in just 6 months, we're tapping into the wisdom of Jim Rohn, the motivational legend.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
We're pulling some gold nuggets from this awesome YouTube video, practical steps you can actually use.
I love that.
Right. Now, one thing that really struck me was Ron's emphasis on that 6-month time frame.
Interesting. Why not a year or even just a month?
Exactly. And he had a reason. It's this concept of what he calls realistic urgency.
Okay, I'm intrigued. Tell me more about this realistic urgency.
So think about it. A year, it just feels so long. You could totally lose steam before you even get going.
True.
And a month, barely get started.
Right.
But 6 months, it's like the sweet spot. It's enough time to actually make real progress, but it also lights a fire under you.
Yeah.
To actually get moving.
It's like that perfect balance of planning and action.
Exactly.
And speaking of action, Ron was all about setting super clear goals.
Right. He was adamant about it.
Yeah.
Vague goals get you vague results.
Right. It's like trying to hit a target you can't even see.
And he had this great example, saying, I want to be happy. It's nice, but what does that even mean?
Yeah, it's too broad. How do you measure happy?
Exactly.
It's like setting off on a journey without a destination in mind.
But on the other hand, when you say, I want to increase my income by, say, 20%,
yeah,
read a book a month, finally launch that side hustle I've been dreaming of.
Those are things you can actually work toward.
Now, those are goals you can actually work with. You have something concrete.
That's clarity.
So, listener, I want you to take a minute. Just think about your own goals for a second.
Yeah.
Are they specific enough? Like, can you picture yourself achieving them? Because that clarity, that's what fuels real change.
It's like having a GPS guiding you to your destination. Now, here's where Ron's philosophy gets really interesting. He said it's not about what happens to you, it's about how you respond.
Right, that's powerful.
It's about taking control, owning your reactions, and shaping your future.
It's like that famous quote, isn't it? It's not about the wind, it's about how you set your sails.
Exactly.
So even if things haven't exactly gone your way in the past,
you always have the power to adjust your sails and head in a new direction.
Love that. Now, Ron also talked about these everyday things, the stuff that's easy to do.
Okay.
But also super easy not to do.
Oh, I know exactly what you mean. Like reading a few pages every day,
yeah,
or saving a little bit of money.
Exactly. Or even taking a short walk.
These are all those simple actions we often let slip.
It's like we know what we should be doing, but sometimes finding that motivation,
right,
it's a struggle.
But the thing is, as Ron says, it's not about some big overnight change.
Right. It's about those little steps you take consistently.
Exactly. It's about making those small, consistent efforts that build momentum over time.
And that brings us to discipline.
Ooh, yes. Ron believed discipline is key to success, and one of the best ways to cultivate it is to pay attention to who you're surrounding yourself with.
Right, because he had that famous quote, you're the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with.
Powerful, right?
So true. So listener, think about the people closest to you. Are they lifting you up, inspiring you, or are they kind of bringing you down?
Because your environment, those people you're around, it plays a huge role in shaping your success.
Absolutely. And this actually ties into another key principle from Ron, documentation.
Ooh, documentation. Explain that one.
He was all about self-reflection.
Yeah.
Tracking your progress.
Oh, yeah.
He even gave this personal example. He said, reading just 10 pages a day, not a ton.
Right.
That adds up to 6 or 7 books in 6 months.
Wow.
Think of all that knowledge.
It's amazing how those small, consistent actions can lead to such big results.
And it reminds us that even if you only have a few minutes each day, you can still make progress.
Definitely. Now, Ron also talked about investment. And he wasn't just talking about money.
Right. He made this distinction between formal education, like going to school,
right,
which, helps you earn a living,
yeah,
and self-education. And that, he said, could make you a fortune.
So it's about investing in your personal growth.
Right, exactly. Whether it's through books, courses, mentors, or just seeking out new experiences.
So, listener, what are some ways you can invest in yourself? Because that commitment to learning,
it can really pay off.
Now, here's a concept, Ron, called the miracle of incrementalism.
Okay, what's that?
He said, if you improve just 1% each day over 6 months,
Just 1%.
You'll be 180% better than when you started.
That's wild.
It might not sound like much, but those tiny, consistent efforts compound over time.
It's like that snowball effect.
Exactly. Think about it, saving an extra $1 or $2 each day, or exercising for just a few minutes longer.
Or even just learning a new word every day.
Those little things can create massive change.
I love that. And Ron had a really interesting perspective on goal setting.
Oh, yeah.
He said, don't set goals based on what you think you can achieve.
Okay, so what should we base them on?
Set goals that kind of scare you.
Oh, I like that. Aim higher. Push yourself beyond your comfort zone.
Exactly. It's about stretching yourself, dreaming big.
What's a goal that excites you, listener?
Something that maybe even scares you a little bit, but would be so incredibly rewarding to achieve. Don't be afraid to think big.
Now, Ron also talked about the importance of environment.
Right, the spaces we surround ourselves with.
He said you can't change your destination overnight, but you can change your direction overnight.
Ooh, what does that mean?
It means you have the power to choose to surround yourself with things and people that support your goals.
So powerful. So, listener, take a look around right now.
Yeah.
Is your environment helping you grow? Or is it holding you back?
What small changes can you make to create a space that truly supports your journey?
It could be decluttering your workspace, or finding an accountability partner.
Or even limiting your time with people who drain your energy.
Sometimes the smallest changes can make the biggest difference.
And it's a reminder that we have more control over our environment than we sometimes realize.
Absolutely. Welcome back to our deep dive into Jim Rohn's awesome insights on personal transformation. We're picking up right where we left off, exploring how to make those next 6 months really count.
One thing that really stood out to me was Ron's idea about standards.
Oh yeah, tell me more about that.
He believed that your life, it naturally kind of gravitates toward the level of your standards. So if you raise your expectations for yourself, aim higher.
Okay.
Your life will rise to meet those expectations.
That's interesting. So it's not about waiting for things to change around you.
It's about deciding to become better, to level up, and then everything else kind of falls into place.
I like that. So it's proactive.
Exactly. And think about it. If you're constantly just settling for good enough, never really pushing yourself,
Yeah.
you're never going to reach your full potential.
Right. You're just kind of stuck.
But when you demand more from yourself, when you raise those standards, you unlock a whole new level of growth and achievement.
That's powerful.
Mm-hmm.
So, listener, what are some areas where you could raise your standards, even just a little bit?
Yeah, think about it. It could be your health, your relationships, your career.
Or even just how you manage your time.
Exactly. It's about those small daily choices that reflect a commitment to excellence.
Okay, so standards. Got it.
Yeah.
What else did Ron talk about?
Well, he was also a big believer in the power of rituals.
Mm-hmm.
He said your life is essentially shaped by those daily rituals.
Oh, interesting. Like habits.
Yeah, exactly. Those consistent habits, those things you do day in and day out, they ultimately determine your success,
It's not about those big one-time efforts. It's about showing up consistently.
Right. And even when you don't feel like it.
I feel that.
He actually had this very specific ritual he suggested, waking up an hour earlier every day.
Oh, wow. That's dedication.
Yeah, think about it. That's an extra 180 hours over 6 months.
That's a lot of time. What could someone do with all that time?
I mean, imagine what you could achieve. You could read more, exercise, work on a side hustle.
Or even just have some quiet time for yourself before the day starts.
Exactly. It reframes those early mornings,
Definitely. Okay, rituals. Got it. Anything else?
Okay, so to keep that momentum going, once you've got those rituals and higher standards in place,
Yeah.
Ron talked about accountability.
Oh, that's so important.
He suggested finding an accountability partner.
Someone who'll keep you on track.
Yeah, someone who can support you, challenge you, and celebrate those wins with you along the way.
It's like having a cheerleader and a coach all rolled into one.
Right. And it makes a huge difference in staying motivated.
So how do you find an accountability partner?
Well, it could be a friend, a mentor, a colleague.
Even a family member.
Sure, anyone who you trust and who shares your commitment to growth.
Now, I think it's important to remember that everyone faces setbacks, right? Nobody just sails through life without any bumps in the road.
Oh, absolutely. Setbacks are inevitable.
But Ron had a really interesting perspective on failure. He said successful people, they aren't people who never fail.
Right. It's about how you handle those failures.
Exactly. He said there are people who get up one more time than they fall down.
So it's about building that resilience, that ability to bounce back stronger.
So true. Okay, now how about focus? How does that fit in?
Well, Ron believed focus is everything. He said, where focus goes, energy flows.
Ooh, I like that.
So like if you're scattered, trying to do a million things at once,
You end up feeling drained and overwhelmed.
exactly, your energy gets depleted. But when you focus on one thing at a time, you bring all your power to that task.
It's like that saying, jack of all trades, master of none.
Right, it's about channeling your energy into what matters most.
Makes sense. Now, what about motivation? We all need a little boost sometime.
Oh yeah, motivation is important, but Ron made this distinction between motivation and habit. He said motivation gets you started, but it's habit that keeps you going.
So it's not just about feeling inspired in the moment.
It's about building those consistent daily habits that will support your long-term success.
So, listener, what are some habits you could build that would help you reach your goals?
Maybe it's setting aside time for focused work each day.
Or creating a morning routine that sets you up for success.
Those small actions, they really do make a difference over time.
And don't forget to celebrate your progress.
Oh, yes. Ron was big on celebration. He said, celebration fuels motivation.
So it's not just about reaching the finish line, it's about acknowledging those small wins along the way, right?
Exactly, those milestones that show you're moving in the right direction.
It's so easy to get caught up in that what's next mentality and forget to appreciate how far we've already come.
Right, but taking time to celebrate those wins, it can help you stay energized and motivated to keep going.
I love that. And celebrating doesn't have to be some big elaborate thing.
No, not at all. It could be as simple as taking a few minutes to reflect on what you've accomplished.
Or sharing your success with a friend.
Or even treating yourself to something you enjoy.
Those little moments of celebration can make a big difference in how we feel about our journey.
And it reminds us that success isn't just about the destination, it's about enjoying the process along the way.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Now, I know Ron was really passionate about contribution. How did he define that?
Well, he believed that success without contribution is empty achievement.
Meaning it's not just about what we achieve for ourselves.
It's about how we use that success to have a positive impact on the world around us.
That's so important. It's about finding ways to give back, to use our talents and resources to help others. And the amazing thing is, the more we focus on helping others, the more fulfilling our own lives become.
It creates this beautiful cycle of giving and receiving.
And speaking of giving and receiving, Ron also had an interesting take on wealth. He said, your income rarely exceeds your personal development.
So to earn more, you need to learn more, grow more.
Exactly. It's about becoming more valuable. And that means investing in ourselves.
Through education, new skills, constantly expanding our knowledge.
And as we continue to grow and strive for success, it's so easy to get tripped up by self-doubt.
Oh yeah, we've all been there.
We start comparing ourselves to others and lose sight of our own potential.
Ron had a great saying for that: most people overestimate the competition and underestimate themselves.
It's so true. We focus on everyone else's strengths while dwelling on our own perceived weaknesses.
We forget that everyone has their own journey, their own struggles, and their own timeline for success.
The only comparison that really matters is with who you were yesterday.
Exactly. And that brings us back to the importance of believing in yourself.
Because if you don't believe in yourself, who will?
And that belief, it fuels action. It empowers you to make those bold decisions that move you closer to your goals.
It reminds me of another observation from Ron. Successful people make decisions quickly and change them slowly, while unsuccessful people make decisions slowly and change them quickly.
It's about trusting your instincts, making those decisions that feel aligned with your goals, and then sticking with them.
Of course, that doesn't mean being stubborn or inflexible.
Right, it's about finding that sweet spot between decisiveness and being open to adjusting your course when needed.
And as we navigate all these decisions and face those inevitable challenges that come with growth, it's so crucial to cultivate a mindset of gratitude.
Ron believed that gratitude turns what we have into enough.
It's about appreciating the good things in our lives, big or small.
Even amidst difficulties, there's always something to be thankful for.
And when we focus on what we're grateful for, we shift our energy from lack to abundance.
We create a more positive and resourceful state of mind, and that can have a ripple effect on every area of our lives.
And to really amplify that positive momentum, Ron emphasizes the importance of celebrating our progress, not just our achievements.
He says celebration fuels motivation.
It's about acknowledging those small wins, those baby steps in the right direction.
And allowing ourselves to feel good about them.
Because when we celebrate our progress, we build a sense of accomplishment.
And that momentum keeps us inspired to keep going.
Welcome back to our deep dive into Jim Rohn's amazing wisdom. We've been talking about setting those clear goals, the power of our surroundings, staying accountable, and even celebrating those wins along the way. But there's even more to uncover as we explore how to really make lasting change.
You know, one of the most fascinating things Ron talks about is this idea that success leaves clues.
Okay, what does that mean?
He encourages us to study those who are already successful, like really dive into their stories,
Okay.
their habits, their mindsets, you know.
So like read their biographies and stuff?
Exactly. Read their books, listen to interviews, really become a student of success.
But isn't there a risk there? Like there's so much advice out there.
Oh, yeah.
How do you know who to listen to?
That's a great point. And Ron would say it's all about being choosy.
Okay.
Don't just blindly follow anyone who, labels themselves as successful.
Right.
Look for people whose values really resonate with you, whose achievements actually inspire you, and don't just take everything at face value.
Okay.
Test those ideas against your own experiences and your own intuition.
So it's about taking what works for you and leaving the rest.
Exactly. It's about being an active participant in your learning journey, not just passively absorbing information.
Right. Because personal growth, it's not a spectator sport.
Exactly.
It's about taking action, stepping up, and making things happen.
Huh.
And Ron puts it so well. He says, for things to change, you have to change.
For things to get better, you have to get better.
For things to improve, you have to improve.
It's all about taking responsibility for our own growth.
It's tempting to want things to be easier, like just wish for fewer obstacles.
Oh, I know that feeling.
But Ron challenges us to think differently. Instead of wishing for less difficult circumstances, wish for more strength within yourself.
More resilience, more resourcefulness.
It's a powerful shift in perspective. It puts you back in the driver's seat.
It reminds us that we have the power to overcome those challenges.
And that leads us to one of Ron's core principles, contribution. He said, success without contribution is empty achievement.
It's not just about what we gain, but how we use our success to impact the world around us.
I love that. It's about looking beyond ourselves, finding ways to give back, to add value to others' lives. And the amazing thing is, the more we focus on helping others, the more fulfilling our own lives become.
It's a beautiful ripple effect. What you put out into the world comes back to you.
And Ron also had this fascinating observation about wealth. He said, your income rarely exceeds your personal development.
Ooh, that's interesting. So you're saying if you want to increase your earning potential, you have to invest in your own growth.
Exactly. Expanding your knowledge, your skill set, constantly learning new things.
It's like they say, the more you learn, the more you earn.
And as we keep going on this journey of personal growth, it's so easy to get caught up in those comparisons.
Yeah, those self-doubts can creep in.
We start comparing ourselves to others, and we lose sight of our own potential.
Which is why this reminder from Ron is so powerful. Most people overestimate the competition and underestimate themselves.
We fixate on everyone else's strengths while focusing on our own weaknesses.
We forget that everyone has their own unique path, their own challenges.
And their own timeline for success.
The only comparison that really matters is with who you were yesterday.
So true. And that brings us right back to believing in yourself. Because if you don't believe in yourself, who will?
And that belief, it leads to action, to making bold decisions that move you toward your goals.
And speaking of decisions, I'm reminded of another observation from Ron. He said, successful people make decisions quickly and change them slowly, while unsuccessful people make decisions slowly and change them quickly.
It's about trusting your gut, going for it, and then staying the course.
Of course, that doesn't mean being stubborn or refusing to adapt when you need to.
Right. It's about finding that balance between being decisive and being open to adjusting your path along the way.
And as we navigate those choices, facing those inevitable challenges, it's so important to nurture a sense of gratitude.
Ron believed that gratitude turns what we have into enough.
It's about appreciating the good things in your life, big and small, even in the midst of difficulties.
Because when we focus on what we're thankful for, we shift our energy from a place of lack to a place of abundance.
It creates a more positive and resourceful mindset, and that can have a ripple effect on everything in your life.
And to wrap up our deep dive into Jim Rohn's wisdom, let's remember this powerful message. The next 6 months of your life can be better than the last 6 months of your life. But that won't happen by accident. It will happen by design.
It's a call to action. It's a reminder that we have the power to become the architects of our own lives, to set intentions, make plans, and commit to taking action.
So listener, what will your design be?
What changes are you ready for? What goals are you chasing after? Those next 6 months, they're yours for the taking. Make them count.
And as Jim Rohn said, life doesn't get better by chance, it gets better by change.
Choose growth, choose progress, choose to make these next 6 months the best ones yet.
We hope this deep dive has given you the tools and inspiration to spark positive change in your life.
And remember, this is just the start. Keep learning, keep growing, and keep striving for excellence.
Until next time, keep diving deep.